All right, a little more midweek cleanup action here. Still pretty gnarly, but if I was on the shift, if I was a shift leader in the plant manufacturing these rear torque control arms for Corvette back in the day, clearly this was handmade by a buffoon. Clearly it was stick welded. No cleanup work whatsoever. Just wanted to show you these welds. Really disappointing, to be honest with you. Yeah, and you know what? It's GM in the 70s. This is made during what they call the colonnade time during the 70s. The lazy time. Look at all that slag or whatever you want to call it. I mean, clearly the welds held, right? But you got a tremendous amount of porosity. I mean, look at that. This is what I exposed after my cleanup. This is the factory stuff. This is just absolutely horrible. So I'm going to make an assumption that says people probably replaced these with modern remans, or maybe even modern complete new units that are welded properly. But they're expensive, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the original stuff. I mean, it held. It's just really ugly. So this is what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to clean it up just a little more, and during the places where I feel like it needs a little extra help, I'm going to do some re-welding. Okay? I'm going to clean up the welds that are here, like that big old gap right there. Let's just fill all that stuff in. Let's just clean this welding up, and let's just make it look like it wasn't done by a complete, you know, like a guy that was, maybe he took one too many barbiturates that day. I don't know, you know? So, golly, just as I started to uncover the rust, I was like, just shoot me. This is just ridiculous. All right, enough ranting and raving. I think up next, we're going to do some welding action, a little more cleanup with the old die grinder, and then we'll do the Eastwood metal prep on this and the rest of the stuff that I've been cleaning up. This is one of the strut rods. That worked out pretty well. So, all right, let's move forward. There she is. Cleaned it up, added some welds around here. I know you can't really tell, but the white haze that you're seeing is the Pour 15 metal prep. Okay, so basically get a spray bottle and you keep the unit wet for 20 or 30 minutes, and then you rinse it off with water and then dry it. And this gnarly looking white haze that you see here is a protective coating and against future corrosion. So clearly this will get painted, and we're going to go with a good duplicolor primer, self-etching probably, and that's a good product. I like it a lot. And then on top of that, we'll go with a black. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. Probably just a maybe a brake caliper black from Duplicolor. So nothing glossy. If it's glossy, it'll show up all the gnarly nonsense. Probably a flat or maybe a satin. So anyway, well, there she is. Pretty ugly. That took a little while. It took about 45 minutes to accomplish all that. And then I think tomorrow I'm going to line these parts up outside, and I'll give them the same treatment with the Pour 15 metal prep, and followed by paint. All right, we're back here at the mobile paint booth. Disregard the air conditioner noise. We are going to apply Pour 15 metal prep to all these different parts here, and to a few more hanging up here on the old other mobile paint booth, otherwise known as a step ladder. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and get these parts coated up so we can get them ready for paint. All right, there we go. Got the metal prep all done. Got the white haze on there. Got your protective coating all on these pieces. I tape these units up here to keep the metal prep stuff out from where, you know, stuff turns, like the mind yourself. Like the where the spline shaft goes in there and the bearings in there. I kept it out of there. I didn't want that stuff floating around inside there because it's going to be greased up inside those areas anyway, so it doesn't matter. So up next, we're going to go ahead and prime this stuff and then go ahead and paint it. There she is. 2 or 3 coats of that Duplicolor self-etching primer and 3 coats of low gloss Duplicolor black engine paint. So that is what she's going to look like for the rest of her days, or at least for a good long while anyway. It's not the best manufactured part in the world, to be sure. The welds are from the factory pretty bad, and I added a few more bad welds, so anyway, we shouldn't have any more problems with corrosion on this piece. So oh yeah, and if you remember that bolt I had to cut that was holding up the leaf spring? Yeah, anyway. So I found some new ones on eBay, as a matter of fact, OEM stuff, and looks really good. I just cleaned them up just a little bit, and we'll put new bolts on the spring hangers. So I think that worked out really well. eBay, it's good to go. All right, the sun is setting on me, so here we are. Here's the brake dust shield. And I went ahead and used cast aluminum color from Duplicolor. It's an engine paint. This cast aluminum color is really nice. It's one of my favorites, or has really become one of my favorites. So that turned out really well. I'm satisfied with that. I knew I would be because I like that color anyway. So, and we got the rest of this. Go away there, butterfly. What's going on here? Oh my goodness. All right, got the half shaft painted. All this stuff has been painted with the Duplicolor low gloss black. What is that varmint flying around there? Weird. What the heck is going on? A big old varmint. Goodness gracious. So there's the bearing holder, I guess you want to call it. And that's the end of that half shaft. And all this stuff turned out really well. So anyway, it's time to call it an evening. I'm going to get this stuff off of the hangers here and get it inside the shop. And we'll close down for the night. All right, so that's one Saturday burnt away. So we got these parts hanging up here to dry and cure and whatnot. Looking pretty good. I must say I'm pretty impressed with the turnout. And we got this side of the car all torn down, except for a couple minor things. This rear anemic stabilizer bar, they have the gall to call this Gymkhana suspension. That's what that means. This little bitty half-inch stabilizer bar for the rear end. Anywho, we'll get bushing there, get this bracket cleaned up. We'll get this off of the car probably, get that cleaned up. This bracket will get cleaned up. I'm going to take the spare tire down, clean up this cover. There's like some muddy water all over the place. I went through a mud puddle apparently. Anyway, it's still there. So this whole area is going to get cleaned, but not aggressively, because it still has a tremendous amount of originality, and I want to leave it like that. So I think we'll probably just wash this and just put a fresh coat of undercoating there and call it a day. And still need to get that differential out of there. And I've been doing some thinking over the last couple of days. I'm not too sure what I want to do there. I tell you one thing, running down the highway at 70 miles an hour at 3,500 RPMs, I think I can simulate that. Hold it one second. You got your hand on the steering wheel, and the other hand's resting on the gear shifter. And it's kind of like, it's kind of like that. It's bad. It's loud. So I'd like to eliminate that from my life. Now, I had toyed around with the idea of one of those gizmos you can put on the tail end of your transmission that gives you extra gears and gives you some highway gears, you know. I forget what they call it. You can see it on roadkill a lot. Or put a 5-speed transmission in it. I hate to do that though, right? Because you got this really cool Borgwater 4-speed close ratio here. And there's your part number, 13040659003. WG anyway, division, WD division, WG division that is. Anyway, good transmission, bulletproof, right? And so I'm like, somebody mentioned putting different gears in the rear end, and I've been shining on to that idea in the last couple of days. So I need to take a look at what gears were available. I think 330 something, I think there's a 350 something, and then there's like a really high one or low, depending on your point of view really, like 30 something. I'm not interested in drag racing. I'm interested in drivability, long road trips on the highway, cool sounding side pipe exhaust, and looking cool. That's all I'm interested in. So I may change the gears in the differential, but that remains to be seen. Tomorrow I may get started on doing the bearing work, the bearing preload work. I may get that done by the end of tomorrow. I'm not quite sure just yet, but I pretty much spent the entire day, all day Saturday, finishing the preparation of these parts to paint. The metal prep and the stripping, the metal prep, the painting, you name it. It takes a lot of time. So if you want, if you're overly picky, like I tend to be, I went ahead and took a look at this spacer set, and I did a measurement here, and I picked 3 candidates here, which are larger than this, as our beginning when we do the bearing preload work. That's going to need probably wait. I don't know. I may do that tomorrow. I may have to wait several days because I've got obligations in the irregular job, and got to take care of those first. So there's a big weekend coming up next weekend. In other words, the weekend going into the October 1st time frame, and there's a big car race, and it's just around the corner, and that is the Talladega 500, or is sometimes called the Yellowwood 500, or whoever seems to be sponsoring it at the time. I'm not entirely sure who's going to be doing that. Not really concerned about it. I just like going to the race and watching the cars run and have fun with my friends. So anyway, so I've been messing with the RV as well today, some. Cleaning and sterilizing the freshwater tank. And I installed a new shower head. I think these things are important when you're struggling and boondocking and being really primitive, right? Your shower head has got to be leak-free. It's a thing, okay? Just trust me on that. I think tomorrow I'm gonna try to get started on doing the bearing preload work. So you guys stay tuned. I'll be back here in, well, probably. All right, got to put this little rascal back in here. Let's see what we can make this do here. Let's see. I don't think that little bit of beating would be damaging that. Let's see, where's my other hammer? There it is. Yeah, that was easy. All right. So keep in mind that you should not remove these if you're putting in an aftermarket polyurethane bushing kit in your trailing arm. There we go. And let's see, let's give it a little love tap. There we go. Send her on home, baby. And we got the bushings touching, or the whatever you want to call them. They're called outer sleeves is what they're called. So we got them back in there. So up next we're gonna put the bushing in. All right, so can't recall where I left off here. It's been about a week or so. These rear trailing arm bushing kits, that seems to fit okay. This does not. This sleeve here and the end caps, they don't, they don't do the thing. They don't press fit. So basically, this will go through there, go through there. Got an end cap on either end. There's the other one, but they don't. I could dispense with using this kit and just buy the standard kit with the rubber in it from, say, Rock Auto or whatever, or some other place. Or I could just make this work. How hard could it be? Right, just put that together, and then once this is sticking out through the rubber, find a way to make that, you know, stick on there. What I may do is I could deform this a little bit, kind of poke it out that way like that, and make it stick on there so that when you put it together in the car, it's got a big bolt that's going to go through the whole affair anyway. So, you know, and this is what the strut rods look like after derusting, metal prepping, priming, and painting with Duplicolor low gloss. So basically you got a brand new part. So I think I'm going to go ahead, and the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put the bushings in my strut rods, and that shouldn't take very much pressure at all. So I'll show you the results just shortly. All right, just real quick, this is an assembled one, and it looks like that. I guess they're all like that. I guess that's just the way it goes. So I assembled this by hand. Very nice tight fit, but you can put it in there by hand. And I put the two bushings in on either side, slipped the sleeve through, tapped it on a piece of wood, got it settled in there. It's nice and tight, and it's fine. But these things, again, they don't press in. So, you know, that's just, I'm baffled by that. Surely I would have not have assumed it would have been like that. Anyway, again, I'll probably jack that up with a cold chisel or something to get it to stay in place. But, you know, it looks, at least it's pretty. So anyway, I'll go ahead and do the rest of that off camera. The strut rod kit that you get in here, rear strut set, comes with two different sets of bushings. I guess there's two different sizes of strut rods. So this car has the bigger ones, and there's a whole bunch of smaller ones in there that go in these as well. Anyway, so, but I guess those will be left over. So I'll go ahead and get those installed in there next. All right, that's what we got. Got the bushing installed there. That was actually not a big deal. Just basically just slipped everything together, put the center sleeve in there, slid the bushings in there, lubricated everything with the super lube, and basically put it between the vise and zoop, like that, you know, and it fell out already. Look at that. So basically what I did was, on these guys, I expanded the center part just a bit to make them stay there while you install it into the car. And what I did was I just took this punch here and slip it there like that. Take your punch, give it a couple of taps, like that, flip it over like that, expand it out too far so they won't even slip in there like that. No, there we go. Probably not necessary. You probably just put, I think the instructions actually say, hey, just smear some grease on it and it'll hold it up there while you put it in the car. That's so chintzy. You know, why not make it a press fit? Why not do that, okay? Really dissatisfied with this aspect of this, but I'll try to get over it. Let's move on. Okay, we got a piece of 1/4-inch steel here from the big box retail outlet, and we've got it marked up here. I think we'll just cut a basic square out of it, and we'll put holes in it. We'll bolt it to our mounting arrangement here, and then already put this guy on here and made a circle with a paint pen. And let's go ahead and take this thing outside and get the oxyacetylene on it. No, I don't have a plasma cutter. I hadn't bought one yet. So, all right, we're going to go with what we got. All right, we got our acetylene on 5 and our oxygen on 20. That's our pressure. So I'm not an expert at this, so if you see me doing something wrong, you know, point it out in the comments below. That's perfectly fine. I tried my best to read the book and, you know, do it safely. So here we go. Turn on the gas. limit your smoke. Turn on your oxygen, get yourself a neutral flame. All I see is the little bitty blue tips, and the rest of it I can't see. Let's see what happens. That's not too bad for an amateur. Yes sir, Bob. This mild steel, I got it from Lowe's. It's easy to cut. I could get a little more close to my line that I made. I'm going to try that on this next go around here between these two holes here. Of course, I'm not wearing the right kind of clothes either, so there's that. Look, you don't want to go woo. You don't want that noise. That's too much. All right, that's neutral. I'm heating up the edge of that hole I drilled. And then we're going to give her the juice. I screwed that up. Uh-oh, I turned off my fuel instead of my oxygen first. That's a no-no. You don't want to do that. All right, I went too fast on that one. I think part of my problem was I didn't have my reading glasses on, which is a requirement nowadays. Yeah, I didn't get all the way down in there, so that's all right. Let's just try again. All you guys that know how to do this are probably cringing. Uh-oh. Made a mistake. Turned on my oxygen too fast. Alright, I didn't get all the way through. I'm going to try again on this other spot here. We'll take a fresh start here. You're going to melt the edge of that hole there. Once it starts to get good and fluid, increase the flow to your O2 to blow it out with the trigger. Yeah, I don't have my flows right, set right or something. Or maybe my tip is not right. Woo! Got a blowout. I'm going to angle my torch towards the solid metal. Is that the way you're supposed to do it? I don't know. This is trial and error for me. Alright, I'll start to melt it now. Yeah, I think that's the way you're supposed to do it. See, I learned something. You got to angle it towards the solid metal. That worked out a lot better. Yeah, boy. Went to school on that one. I mean, there's a half dozen ways to do this. The best way is with a plasma cutter, but hey, you know, I got to learn how to do this, so that's part of the reason why I'm doing this. Just a little spark. Let's start over. Got on my ankle. Alright, that's good enough. We'll clean up the rest with the grinder. Okay. After a bit of grinding and measuring and whatnot, I believe we have a hole which is properly sized. There's a little chamfer on the end here. You had to get the hole a little bit bigger than that, clearly. So this is 3 1/4, and this is probably, I don't know, probably 3 5/16, or probably 3 3/8 actually. That fits really nicely. So what I'm going to do next is go ahead and mark some holes here and drill those, and then we'll cut this square out, and our adapter will be completed. Alright, I'm getting ready to cut this square out. I got my fuel gas, my acetylene set, I think a little higher than I had. I think I had it a little too low earlier. And then I got my speed down. So up here I was going way too slow. I had to go back and excavate some of my messiness. But over here I got my speed down. I got it up pretty, not fast, but a lot faster. And I could see that crisp slice being cut out of the metal, and you can see over here on that inner side there where it started to be a lot more crisp. I really don't know the proper terminology for it, but I started to get the hang of it over here, and that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna go try this part next. All right, I've got our Cadillac pinion housing holder back in place here, and I lined this thing up with our adapter, and I drilled 4 new holes in it, and basically should look something like that, hopefully. Yeah, how about that? Anyway, and I got 4 nuts here. Basically bolt this thing down, and then we can take our bearing holder off the Corvette and bolt it to that, and then we can do our bearing preload work. All right, there we go. Blew all the metal dust off of this area and with the air hose, and got ourselves, and I wiped this down, and basically all I'm trying to do is get a clean environment to do our bearing preload. I don't want any metal fragments kind of, you know, floating around getting the bearings. That's really all this is about, so I can stage my stuff right here and my tools and whatnot, and get on about our business. So up next, I'm going to go ahead and refer to the manual, take a look at this fancy tool I've got, and try to get this whole affair set up. All right, good morning. All right, now we are going to put some bearing races in our bearing holder, and then we're going to go over there and do the bearing preload. But let's take a look at what we got here. So we got Timken Set 5, which is an LM 48510, apparently. That's your outer. And your inner race is going to be an M86610. Sometimes Timken sells the whole set. Sometimes they sell the race and the bearings separately. I believe that's because the races can come in with different chamfers on the back end, depending upon the bore that you're going to put the thing down in. And just, you know, there's lots of differentiation amongst all this stuff. So you just got to pay attention to the numbers and got to understand what the application is, and, you know, all that kind of jazz. So a lot of you folks know all that stuff already anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I just kind of geek out on it, so apologize for that. Actually, I'm not apologizing for that because I enjoy geeking out. So, you know, this is not entirely necessary. Oh, it'll make it easier to go in. No, it's press fit. This is just really anti-corrosion, really. So I cleaned the inside of this thing out again with mineral spirits on a brush and blew it out with the air hose. So tappy tap tap. Let's do that. I found actually one of these in that metric set. It's a 63 millimeter. It actually fits this race, this Set 5 race, really well. I don't like for this chamfered edge to hit on the chamfered edge of the interior of the bearing race. I know this is aluminum and it's not supposed to damage it, but I don't like it anyway. But this one doesn't. It's got a little play. It moves around, so that's cool, man. I like that. Yep. And then you can give it that. I need a bigger hammer. There we go. Got to square it up there.
All right, my tone changed. I believe we're all down. I'm gonna flip it over and check it out, and we're gonna do the other one. All right, so we're gonna put this inner race in here. Looking at the original one. Timken 8M86610, made in the USA. And I cleaned it up with some mineral spirits, just taking a look at it, just to see what the real deal was. Might have got a little hot. There's a little bit of discoloration. That bronzish, reddish looking. I think this got a little hot, you know, over the years or something. There's a little bit of pitting too on the inside. So I just like looking at the old stuff just to see how it fared over the years, you know. Yeah, there's some pitting on the inside there. It was starting to, if you kept running it, probably, you know, not for too long, maybe a year or two, it'd probably go. You need to change this stuff out on these old cars, even though it's never been opened before and they don't have any miles on it. This car's got 52,000 on it. So I don't have a bearing race installation doohickey that fits this one. So we're just gonna do it the old fashioned way. Issue with this is you don't want to slip. We'll do it this way. All right, here we go. There we go. So I wanted to get it set and squarely set. Once you're done with that, if it's set down in there a little bit and it's square, you're golden. There's no, and you have to hold it with your, if you do it the old-fashioned way with another bearing race, you want to hold it with one hand and tap it with the other and get it started squarely, and your life will be good. And you don't want to, you know, when you're doing stuff like this, it's okay to be really particular and go slowly, because if you screw it up, you're going to be on the side of the road somewhere with fire shooting out of your wheels, okay? And that's not cool, man. I suppose I could just take the blunt end of this and just take it down to the lip there. I just don't have anything that can go, you know, you get it. All right, that's as far as I can take it with that. I'm flush with that now. Now I have to use the race and take it the rest of the way. Now when this starts to get down inside the bore a little bit along with the other one, then there's no problems keeping it in line. But until that happens, you know, you got to be particular and be careful. You don't have to have the exact tool to do something. You know, helps, but just, you know, it doesn't have to be precise. Yes, it does. What am I saying? He doesn't know what he's talking about. How far do we need to go? Yeah, buddy, got a 1/4 inch. Okay, so we're down in there really nicely and really square. And that begs the question, how far until this other race starts to bind itself in there? It's starting to now. If I hit it again, it'll bind down in there. All right, so this 63 millimeter, if you turn it around backwards, you have a nice play there. And it fits nicely onto the edge of the race, and that'll give us a nice, that's going to be good. I don't like doing this kind of stuff with a big hammer. I like to do it gently. I believe we are home. There we go. All right, we've got some races installed. Let's go ahead and pack our bearings and break out the bearing preload tool and get to work. So now here is the original bearing spacer and shim. Actually, there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, all you'd have to do is de-rust it and you could just reuse it with new shims. There is actually nothing wrong with this bearing spacer now that I sit here and look at it. Anyway, so the length here that we are looking at looks like it is around 1.78, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and pick something out of the new one, out of the new bag. That's this one is 1.8. So I've got a whole stack of shims here, and I picked the biggest one to get me to 1.8. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you know, I bought this new spacer and shim kit and thinking, you know, okay, yeah, I'll just buy all new stuff. But really, Why do I need to replace this? I don't need to replace this. It's in perfect condition, other than just it's a little rusty. You know, if you can leave something in there that's original, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and de-rust this real quick and clean it up. And I think I'm going to reuse this, but use the new shims. All right, there we go. I just got the die grinder out with the abrasive wheel, not a sanding wheel, just a abrasive wheel. And I got the original one cleaned up. This is what the aftermarket one looks like. I'm sure it's fine. I think I'm going to keep the original one in there. I think that's fine. Yeah, let's do that. All right, let's go ahead and get everything set up here. I got 4. 2 is probably good enough, but we don't really need 4, I don't guess. That's just because I'm going to have to remove them anyway. Probably. You know, over and over, so. All right, we got our installation, or wheel bearing setup tool here from Top Flight Automotive. Number X2435 wheel bearing setup tool. And yes, I'm reading the instructions because I've never done this before. So this is the inner, and the outer is on the bottom down there. So that means the tool is going to go in from the bottom like this. This is where the outer goes. Why there's a bunch of traffic on my street is beyond me. They're all making noise. It's really annoying. So this outer bearing goes like that. The bearing spacer, the fat end goes next to the bearing. Your shim goes on next. So this whole affair goes up in here like this. Somewhat similar, reminiscent of the pinion setup. We have to have our inner bearing in place like that. Then we have this spacer, and then we have a washer, and then we have our nut. We don't put any seals on just yet, clearly, because all we're doing is setting our bearing preload in play tolerance. So you're going to need a 3/4 inch wrench to hold the bottom side of this thing, and a 1 1/8 inch socket here. And I've got a torque wrench off to the side. So let's go ahead and torque this thing down and see what we get. Let's see, I'll just put that wrench up against the edge of the bench there, and that'll work. That should work pretty good. Now that's 50. And the wrench drops. So I'm just going to do 50. The spec says do it to 100. Right, but there's a tremendous amount of play there. I mean, I'll go ahead and put it on 100, just, you know, for giggles, really, just to, as an academic exercise. All right, here we go. There we go. We did it according to the book, and I don't need a dial indicator for that. So let's go ahead and measure it anyway, though. Let me go get my dial indicator. I'll set that up. All right, we've got our dial indicator set up here. And we are looking at about 30 thousandths. And I'm moving the bottom of this thing with my hand clearly. And my dial indicator is not the best in the world. But 29 thousandths, 29 or 30. We have a ways to go. Let's go ahead and remove our assembly. All right, so let me go take some basic measurements and choose another shim. All right, so we're at 30 thousandths. We want to be anywhere from 1,000 to 7,000. The book says 8, but I think this kit says 7, and whatever. Let's just call it 7. 30 thousandths minus 7, that's 23 thousandths we need to take out. So this is a .145. So if that's a .145 minus 23 thousandths, that will lead us to 0.122. So let's find something in the stack that is similar to that. That's 0.137, 0.119. That one might work. I'll put that one over there. 114, that's not going to work. 0.122 is my goal. Let's see. I'm just going to go through all these. I should have done this already, but anyway. That one's too fat. Let's see. 0.126, yeah, let's see, 0.102, looks like this candidate over here, yeah, 0.119, that's probably going to be it. So this .119 shim. If we put that in there, we're taking out 26 thousandths. That should leave us at 4 thousandths. So that's going to be our goal. It'd be kind of nice to get this done with only 2 tries. All right, here's our new shim. And that guy will go like that. We'll slip this back into place. Inner bearing, slip that in there. Spacer, washer, nut. You can do this in the bench vise. You don't need this setup like I have here. But I kind of wanted to do it this way just because, well, I like it. And putting this in the vise and marring this up and scratching it and all that, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. Nah, we're not doing that. Yeah. I think that's going to be the ticket right there. I think that's going to be the good one. All right, I'm just paranoid. If you put too little shim in here and you tighten this thing down, you will destroy the bearing and you have to go buy new stuff, okay? So, keep that in mind. There we go. Got 100 on it. Let me go set up my dial indicator. I'll be right back. All right, we got her down to, looks like 8. I had to go tighten up the cover on the back side of my cheap dial indicator here. But we are right on the ragged edge of the outer tolerance from the service manual. Do a little more calculations, see if we can't tighten that up. All right, so we had a .19 in there, .119 rather. And so that got us at 8 thousandths. So here's a .114. See, we had a .119 in there. This is a .14. That's 5. So that should put us at 3 thousandths. All right, let's try that one next. All right, we'll slip everything back into place here. There's our .114 shim, spacer, washer, nut. I keep harping on this setup I've got here because I really like it. I mean, it took a long time to make it, but by golly, it just makes this job so much easier. I mean, if you were to walk into a dealership and they were doing this in the 70s, this is the kind of setup they would have. They would have something very similar to this. They wouldn't be shoving this in a vise. They just wouldn't be doing that. All right, there we go. Ooh, yeah, that feels good. Hopefully it won't be too good. Man. It's like barely 1,000th. It's highly debatable if I want to leave it like that. You don't want to get it too tight, man. You want it to be loosey. You know, you want it to loosen up. So let me see if there's a different combination of shims I can use here. All right, there's my little setup, by the way. If you've never done that before, I've made some adjustments to shims and spacers and things like that when you really need to. You just take your shimmer, spacer, whatever you want to do, and just get it on some 220. This is not I mean, it is a crucial measurement, but you know, for this, you can do it this way and it'll turn out okay, because all you need to do is make sure you get the same thickness of the shim all the way around. And that's pretty easy to do, surprisingly. So imagine that's the shim. You're just going to come in here and give it that, twirl it like that, twirl it, you know. And you do that for about 5 or 10 minutes, and boom, before you know it, you've knocked off 2 or 3 thousandths. So that's my process. All right, so I just gave it a good spot check there with the dial indicator. It's sitting at 3 thousandths. According to the book, it's 1,000th to 8. And the instructions on this kit, I believe, said 7. So I guess they figured, 8's a little too loose. All right, there we go. Get our indicator in place here. Key to doing all this stuff is your setup. All right, I know you can't see this thing, but I'll get you down here in a moment and show you what I'm looking at here. I believe we're gonna call that good. All right, little cell phone camera action here. And we're sitting at 2. You see it goes from 0 to 2. That looks pretty good. I think we're gonna call it there. We're gonna call it good right there, folks. All right, we'll go ahead and dismantle this little affair, and we'll wrap everything up in some plastic and stored away until we get ready to reassemble this car. And all right, let me button this up. I'll be right back. All right, folks, I think I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to call it a weekend, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. So right now we are at the point where we can start to hopefully reassemble the driver's side rear end of this car. However, we still need to pull the differential down, and I don't really want to put the driver's side rear end back together until I take the rear differential out of the car. But that is not going to occur in this video because I'm out of time. So the real job calls, and tomorrow I'll be on the road. So we've got the rear trailing arm bushing in, we've got the strut rod bushing ends. Putting the universal joints in the half shaft is really simple. That is not worth videoing, I don't think. I got the spindle over there, it's cleaned up, it's ready to go back into the car basically. I think in the next video, I keep saying this in the next video. Anyway, I think in the next video, I'll go ahead and pull the differential out of the car. It needs a fluid change anyway, so. Plus, I want to take a look at the gears, take a look at the condition of the gears, the bearings. We just need to go through it and just check it out, you know. And I kind of want to put different gears in there, and I need to take a look at some pricing. And so next video may be more of an exploratory type research type thing on the differential. Maybe I can get some of that research done this week and maybe make some decisions before I dive into the next video. So I hope you guys like this series on the Corvette. I've put a lot of thought into it, and I kind of dragged my feet for about 18 months while I got the Cadillac sorted out. Still a couple of things to go on the Cadillac though. I still need to repair the air conditioning system. But the car's good right now, except for the tires. So comically, I took it in to get my tires rotated and balanced, and I put them on in 2016, and the guy said, hey man, this is the last time I can do this. What are you talking about? I don't have any miles on the tires. He goes, it's the age. He's like, the tires are 7 years old now. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, wow. So probably gonna go with some American classics, those nice thick white walls. I really like that look. I'm getting off into the weeds, but by the time we get done with this Corvette, it's gonna be really, really nice. And I hope you guys will stick through it on this journey to get this silver anniversary back on the road once again. Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. I really do. I really do. And please help my channel grow by hitting the like button, subscribing, maybe sharing it with your friends. If you know someone else who likes Mercedes-Benz cars, there's a whole bunch of videos on Mercedes-Benz on this channel, if you didn't know that already. Corvette, Cadillac, Jeep, those are the vehicles in my fleet. Oh yeah, and don't forget vintage motorhomes as well. All right, folks, that's all for now. I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. We'll talk to you real soon.